If you've ever started from a template that looks great, but then once you add in your own brand and your own content, it looks a little bit chaotic and hard to read, well, then this video is for you. This file is intentionally imperfect. It has the kinds of text problems that show up all the time in designs. Headings that only look like headings, paragraphs that are way too dense, decorative effects that get in the way, and contrasts that really kind of needs a second look. So let's start fixing this design. Let's start at the very top. When I click on this first text box that has our title, you can see right away on this toolbar that it is instead a paragraph. Now we can click on that drop down and we can see all of our text styles for our given brand, and we can swap it out. But let's say we kind of like how it was styled before, but still want it to be tagged as heading 1. So clicking undo, I want to point out that currently we have this tag button in the far right of our text toolbar above our design. But right now, when I hover my mouse to adjust that tag, it tells us text with effects applied will automatically be tagged as figure in PDF downloads. Now, that's not for something that is functioning as a title of this document, which means if we want to tag it as such, we need to remove the effects. And right now I've got shadow and I've got this curve applied. So let's go ahead and remove those text effects, making it plain and simple, just like our font. It's still very decorative, but now we can tag it. So let's go back to that text tag button and select the appropriate tag. Now, here are the ones you have to choose from. There's heading 1 through heading 6 and paragraph. Notice there's no title. Typically, your title is going to be your H1 heading. So I'm going to make sure that that is selected. So right now with that text box, it will say heading 1 is the text style, even though it doesn't really follow that brand's text style. And now we want to go through the rest of the document and do the similar tagging. So this next one here that still says paragraph, I want to make sure that that one will be called heading 2. So in tagging, we are creating a hierarchy for screen reader users to easily navigate through the levels of this document. So now that we have heading 1 and heading 2, let's designate the package titles as heading 3. So skipping down here, I'm going to tag this one as heading 3, that one as heading 3, this one as heading 3, and this one also as heading 3. And that right there is already a huge improvement for screen reader users. It's going to be a lot easier to navigate this file. Now let's dive into some of these huge text blocks. The first one is this paragraph above, and reading through it, I can tell it can be a lot shorter. Now, the great thing about Venngage is that they do give you the opportunity to use AI to help refine your writing. So if you're a little unsure about how to make writing more condensed or concise, you can use that little refine button and use AI to make your changes. You can choose one of these options here to shorten, to elaborate, to change the tone, like making it sound more professional, or just do a straight up spelling and grammar check. But I definitely want to shorten this. So let's click on that shorten button, and that'll bring up our AI designer to the left, and it will think through what to do for that design to make it shorter. And here is what it's done for us. We have at Jealous Fork Entertainment, our wedding packages help you choose the support, equipment, and styling that fits your celebration's vibe, leaving room for the personal details that make your day memorable. Okay, that actually isn't all that bad. And now with that text box shortened, I can add a little bit more breathing room to the rest of my design. So selecting these back boxes here, I am going to make those a little bit bigger. And now I'm going to move those heading 3 up just a little bit to give more space for this area below. Now, the next thing we want to fix is this paragraph under the sweet toast package. That is just one big long paragraph. I'd like it to be formatted a little like the other paragraphs underneath the other packages. So let's try AI one more time. Let's click that refine button. And this time, I'm going to type in my own prompt and ask AI to make very specific changes. So here I'm going to write, transform paragraph into a list similar to other package descriptions. And let's see what AI does with that as a prompt. And it's done a pretty good job. It has mirrored that style over here. So we have best for smaller weddings, courthouse celebrations, backyard ceremonies, brunch receptions, then a space, and includes, and then it has that bullet list. Only we don't actually have the bullet applied to it. So we can select that here and just add that in ourselves. And now it is consistent with the other paragraphs right next to it. So that right there tells me that this AI designer is context sensitive. It analyzes your entire design before making any revisions. And there's a few more things that we can definitely fix with this design to make it easier to read and more readable. For example, the text off to the right under here. That is really tiny. We're using an 8.78 font. We can apply a different text size by typing in a number here, choosing from this drop-down list, making that a little bit bigger. And we could also make it easier to read by adjusting things like line spacing. So here, if I click on line height, I can add more height to this, add more space between it to, again, make it a little bit easier to read. Now, the next thing to do is to ensure that all of our text is of high enough contrast. So selecting any text box, we can then go up to that font color button there and make sure that at the very bottom down here, it will say good contrast, and it will show that contrast ratio 6.3:1. For this one. So that one is okay. And if you're curious what that good contrast actually means, simply click on that See Contrast Information button there. It will scroll down a little bit and show you for normal text at level AA, that text that has good enough contrast. But for level AAA, we're not quite there yet. But most companies will strive for the level AA, so we're going to leave it at that for now. So I've made a few more minor changes, hopefully to make that text a little bit more readable. But for now, let's do one final thing to ensure accessibility for this design, and that is to run the accessibility checker. So going up to our File menu, all the way down to Accessibility, you'll see several options here. There is Check Accessibility, which launches that accessibility checker, but you have other options too. You can edit the tag order from here, you can set the document language, or even use a visual simulator. For right now, let's go ahead and check accessibility, which will open up that accessibility checker to the right-hand side of our design. And let's start it by clicking on Check My Design. So here up top, you can see that it's detected 12 issues. And then we have two sections below that. We have auto-detected issues, and here it's explaining about color contrast. And down below that, it says text has sufficient color contrast. If I change anything with this design, I could always come back and rescan that document for that. What it's telling me here is that we have a fail with text size. And clicking on that text size button will open up a bigger area where I can go through and manually review what text in my document. I can click on them to select them very easily. So it's flagging all of my body text here as being too small for this design. So from there, I can select those sections and bump up this text size. So now I've set it to 15, and I can then recheck it or mark it as complete. So now I've gone through and checked all of my text and then manually marked that as complete. I don't have any tables in this design, and I also went through and added some alt text to our logo here. as well as marking some other little elements as decorative. For example, these background boxes, those always need to be marked as decorative. So I've manually checked that. It also is asking me to check for a logical reading order. So when I select that as an option, it's going to have me go through and look for a logical reading order. So headings, clicking on that will show me where all of those headings are. And if I've missed anything, I can always go and re-tag those specific elements to create that logical order. And once you've manually gone through and checked those heading tags, just check to say, hey, those heading tags follow best practices. And if you don't know those best practices, they include those best practices right here within the interface. Next, we need to review things like uses of color, text effects, gradients, images of text, links, and things like document title and document language as well. And most of these will provide instructions for each one. All it is just you manually checking it and then checking it off. So here, text effects. Text effects are either avoided or used sparingly for non-critical text. Yes, that is the case now. Gradients, we don't use any gradients in this design. We also don't have any images of text besides that logo, but we have put alt text in that place. So now we don't have any links here either, so we can go ahead and check that as reviewed. The document title. The design title is meaningful, reflects the content of the document, and is written in the language of the document. And finally, document language. This document language is English. We haven't set it as anything else, so let's go ahead and check that off for review too. Okay, and it's still saying that we have logical reading order that needs to be fixed. Clicking on that, we can then click the button Set Reading Order, and that's going to take us over to Tag Order. So here we have page 1. We can click on each individual one here to see how it will flow, and that's the order in which it will be read by a screen reader. And as you can see, this whole table package is starting first, whereas we should have wedding packages start first. Now, you can reorder anything in this pane just by clicking and dragging it to its ideal location. So here, this one should be right above the best for large weddings option. So those two go together. And now just a quick scan. We can click on wedding packages. That should be read first. That subtitle, which wedding package fits your celebration? Great. And then we've got our little title there, quirky elegance, practical planning, and rental ready details for weddings that feel like you. And then this paragraph here that we really condensed down to the bare minimum. And going through the rest of the packages and their explanations, they now look great. They could be even shorter, but I'm going to leave it as here for now. And we end on that image fork logo. Now, the last tool Venngage gives you is the colorblind simulator. If you'd like to see how your colors will look to other types of users, either colorblind or low vision, you can choose that. You can have a black and white. You can scroll through the different options and low vision. And looking at this low vision one, I probably go through and bump up all of our paragraphs a little bit higher and reduce text further after using the simulator. But that is the whole entire process of going through and checking text for accessibility while you are designing your document. New to Venngage? Visit venngage.com and sign up for a free trial to get started with creating more accessible designs today.